Today we're going to talk about putting a cylinder in perspective. Now, when you go to work on this, I'd like you to get a can out of your cabinet, and this is basically what we're going to put in perspective, this shape. And I'd like you to put your can on your table while you're working on your drawing here, okay? Just so you get a greater understanding of the nature of the cylinder, okay? But before I put the cylinder in perspective, I want to talk about ellipses. Now, an ellipse is a circle in perspective, okay? And an ellipse has certain characteristics, and I want to talk about those. Right here, I've put an ellipse here. I'm just going to trace over it quickly. All right. And what you'll notice with this ellipse, I've enclosed it in a rectangle, like this. And now I'm going to subdivide it both directions. All right. So there's my ellipse. Now, when I look here, this green line that's longer, that's called the major axis of the ellipse, okay? It's also referred to as something called a chord, all right? So major axis or chord. This is called the minor axis. It's the shorter one, okay? And what you're going to notice is that each of these quadrants is symmetrical and exactly a mirror image. So I could take this side, flip it this way. I could take this bottom half and flip it up. And every purple section of the ellipse should be the same. Okay? So I just want you to keep that in mind. All right. Now, when we work on our cylinder, we're going to put it in 1-point perspective. Okay? And when we look at our can, if I was to put the top of the can at my eye level, what you're going to notice is that that ellipse actually is just a straight line, okay? But as the can starts dropping below my eye level, I see more and more and more of the top. And if I had this can on the floor, I would see the entire circle, and there would be no foreshortening, okay? All right, so just keep all those facts in mind. All right, so the first thing I'd like to do is to draw our horizon line. All right, so I'm going to do my horizon line, put it about this far from the top. Okay. All right, that's going to be our horizon. Next, I want to put in the station point, which I've talked about in our other videos. And that's where I'm standing and observing this cylinder. Okay, so I'm going to put SP for station point. Okay. Now we're going to build the cylinder off of our station point using this point right here as our vanishing point. Okay. And we're only going to have one vanishing point. All right. So next we're going to put a line that I'm going to make on my sheet about 6 inches long, okay? About this far down. Now when you put that line down there, yours can be 4 inches if you want, or you can go with 6 inches like I have. You want to make sure that there's, in this case, 3 inches on this side and 3 inches on that side, that the line is perfectly centered, okay? Now I'm going to take that line to the vanishing point. All right, each side of that line. Okay, and I'm showing that in the green marker. Okay. Then I'm going to decide, well, how much of this top of my cylinder can I see? All right. So I'm going to say I can see about this much. Okay. All right. Now, right now, this is basically a rectangle in perspective. Now I want to find the center of that rectangle by going from the back corner to the front corner and making an X. Okay. Now, this top plane is where I'm going to build my ellipse. But right now, I only have the center of my circle, which is called the diameter. All right? And I'm going to give that a solid line here. That is my diameter of my circle in perspective. But we know that we need to draw an ellipse, and each of the quadrants has to be the same, okay? And when you look at the ellipse here, we know that the chord is halfway. This green line right here is halfway. It's going to be the same here also. So let's find the halfway point here, okay? Now mine is 2 inches, so at 1 inch is my halfway point, and that is going to be my major axis, or the chord, okay? And I'm going to make that a dotted line, okay? So you can see that easier, okay? Now that is the chord. And now that I've had that construction, I can build my ellipse, right? So the furthest point out is going to be the dotted line right here and here, okay? Here and here. And then the minor axis, we know it's this point and this point, okay? So let's lay in. I'm first going to do it in charcoal before I do it in marker, so I get the feel for it. And don't make it too pointy, okay? All right. So let's see, let me make that in the blue. So remember, the furthest point out on the sides is the chord, okay? And then front to back is the minor axis. Okay. All right, so now we have our upper ellipse. All right, so now we're going to draw the side of our can going down from the chord on each side. And let's see, I'm going to make my can about 5 inches. Actually, I'm going to make it an even number. I'm going to make it 6 inches here. Okay. All right. And then 6 inches. I want to make sure that that we get it even, since I'm not using a square over here. Okay. All right. So those are the sides of my cylinder. Next, I'm going to make the chord for the bottom ellipse, okay? So we're going to connect those lines. I'm going to make it dashed, just like the upper one, okay? And this is going to be my chord for the lower ellipse, okay? Now I'm going to put that in perspective, that line, using the same vanishing point. So just draw straight through. You don't have to worry about the length of that. All right. So right now I have that line in perspective. Okay. Next, I am going to estimate where my front edge is. Okay. I'll do that in pink. All right. green line to get the perspective correct, okay? Then I'm going to find the diameter of the lower circle. I'm going to do it in purple too. Okay, I'm going to take this point, going in perspective, back to the green line on the opposing side. Okay. All right. And they should intersect along the station point, the center line. Okay? And then I will have my back edge is going to be from here to here. Okay. Now again, I've created the foreshortened rectangle on which the ellipse is going to be drawn. Okay? So at this point where this intersection is the diameter, right here, is the diameter of the lower ellipse. So I'm just going to do that in green again so you understand that the chord, this dashed line, will always be in front of, more forward of the diameter. Okay, that's a big difference between the circle and the ellipse. And the reason that we even find the diameter is because when we go to put something, let's say, the two wheels of a car in perspective, they're going to have a center line, an axis that attaches them, okay? Now we're just thinking of it this way as the can of pineapple, but you can also think of it as the wheels on a car. And in that case, we would absolutely need to know the center of those circles, okay? So now I want to draw the ellipse on the bottom, okay? Remember, it's going to go to the dashed line again. Don't make them too pointy, all right? And then let me do it in marker again. Okay, so the widest point along the chord, top to bottom, is along the minor axis of the ellipse. Okay, so just follow along with this video and follow it step by step and show me what you can do. What's going to help give it a three-dimensional quality is if you take a colored pencil and add a value in from this line, front edge, this side, front edge. If you lightly fill that in, you could even use a regular pencil. It'll help give you the sensation of its three-dimensional form.